Hey guys, it's Matt here again from the Revel Brewing Show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the podcast, whether you're listening on now Stitcher, Spotify or Apple Podcast, or watching the full-length episodes on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for showing your support and engaging there. Now, this episode, we've got Jay, again, founder of Revel.
G'day, mate.
And we've got Flex, co-founder.
Hola.
And we've got the pleasure of Joss from Hop On Brewery Tours.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, Joss.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How was the trip up from the Gold Coast?
It was pretty easy. I left in time to avoid any peak hour traffic, and hopefully we'll be here long enough that I can avoid it going back as well. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Listen to a few of the podcast episodes on the way up.
I did a bit of studying on the way up. I listened to a few past episodes to know what I should and shouldn't say.
Oh, it's great to know that you're also listening to the podcast and engaging, so thanks for that. Why don't you just give everyone a bit of an introduction to yourself and let us know how you come to know these guys.
Yeah, so I'm Joslyn from Hop On Brewery Tours. Hop On Brewery Tours is a business that my partner and I started going on 4 years ago. And our aim is really to encourage more people to drink good beer. So our focus is education and appreciation. We take people out around Brisbane and the Gold Coast and experience craft beer, basically. So we talk them through different styles, the ingredients, the process, a little bit of history, a few anecdotes. And yeah, just, hope people walk away learning that beer is more than Forex.
Amazing.
And we got in touch with the Revel guys. Actually, they got in touch with us back. I don't even think the brewery had opened yet.
Yeah, pre-opening.
Yeah, one of your original managers had previously worked at Newstead Brewing. And we work quite closely with Newstead. And so he knew of us and of the business and actually sent us an email and reached out and said, hey, this brewery's opening. It'd be cool if you guys came by. I actually remember he said to legitimize the brewery. And I was like, oh, that's a bit fancy. I didn't know that we had that power.
It's like certificates.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a certificate.
If Hop On is coming to Revel, it means it's actually a brewery.
Once we get the sticker with our seal of approval. So we came in and met up with these guys and had a good chat and added them to our rotation. So we're not here as much as we'd like, and I feel a little bit guilty about that. But with the expansion of so many breweries, we try and share the love as much as possible and get to everybody on kind of a regular basis. So yeah.
And it's that collaborative type of industry, which I've come to realise being involved with it for a little while now. So rising tides lifting all ships there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Except the ones that put you on a podcast, they bring more tours too, obviously.
There you go.
Yeah. No, but it's really good.
I knew that would come up. I knew there was going to be a comment about that at some point.
Oh, this is a stitch up, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, but it's really good because back in the early day, when you open the doors on a new venue, new brewery, no one knows you. You have absolutely no patronage guarantee whatsoever. And to know that Hop On, we're bringing groups of, 15, 20 people through every, once or twice a month is really, really good for us, just in the beginning especially. And then those people tell other people and other people tell other people about Hop On as a business and how much fun they had. And then, and we went to this really kick-ass brewery at Revel and at Bulimba and, and then that just keeps spreading the word. And so if people will come to Hop On and say, we heard about Revel, they'll craft a unique tour.
Oh, absolutely.
Dedicated to that, which is really good.
And for us, that's one of the joys is getting to take people to places that they never knew existed. There are bigger breweries out there that we always kind of say they don't really need our help. People often ask us if we go down to Byron Bay and visit Stone and Wood. We love Stone and Wood, but they don't need our help. Everybody in Australia knows who they are. I'd much rather focus our energy on bringing people here or other small breweries that are tucked away in little alleyways or on side streets. And you take people there and they go, I've passed that place 100 times and had no idea that was there. Or you come here and they go, I live 2 Ks away and didn't know that existed, and it becomes their new local. For us, that's just the best feeling of when you know that you're kind of encouraging that patronage and getting people to come back through the door and come back for pizzas and trivia nights and whatever it might be.
And that's so authentic. Like we talk about the industry being close-knit and, the water rising and bringing all the ships up. And that is exactly what this is. It's small business and small business working together. And that's a choice, right? Like it doesn't have to be that way. It's just, it's very, very authentic for the people who are in and around the industry, which I think is really awesome.
So I think more than anything, it's probably just the fact that because there are more breweries opening up, more people are aware of them. So they're opening up in different suburbs and different locations. You've got ballistic that's heading out to Springfield now. And so there's this whole group of people that maybe weren't aware, maybe didn't get out to Ipswich, maybe didn't get out to White Lies or something.
Yeah.
And so now they've got this craft brewery coming in and going, oh, it's this whole craft beer thing. And then potentially looking more into the market. So I think as more open, it just, more people get aware of what else is out there.
Yeah, look, I think it's great, that this industry, everyone sort of gets behind each other and supports each other. Can you elaborate and just tell us a little bit more about the relationship between yourself and the breweries that you visit?
With us, I think a lot of people think that we visit only breweries that we want to, like we hand pick them all, which is not really the case. We work with all of the breweries in Brisbane, although I will say we will only offer people the beer that we would be willing to drink, if that makes sense. So we don't go out to a lot of the potentially smaller, potentially extract brewers because it's not something that we would really drink. But within this community, how it works with us and the breweries, it's just a good relationship. Like there's no kickbacks, there's no secret handshakes or commissions or anything like that. That's not what we're after. It's not, obviously it's a business. So yes, you want to earn money, but it's not about getting every cent. Oh, they bought a t-shirt, I want my $3 commission, or they bought a 6-pack, I want this. Yeah. It's about, that's fantastic. You bought a 6-pack, you bought a t-shirt, you bought a growler. It means that you're going to go back and have it refilled. And so I think that from the outset, when we approached breweries years ago when we started, it wasn't about, this is everything that we want. It was about, this is what we want to do to help your brand. And so for us, that's been a really big part of it too, is telling the brand's story with authenticity and representing each brand to the best of to our capability, I guess. If Jay can't be here, if Flex can't be here to tell that story themselves, that comes on our shoulders. And so for us, it's important to get all the details right and that passion behind everywhere we go. Yeah. So I think the more that we work together and the more that we know the head brewers, we know the owners, we get a chance to have a beer with them, it just helps everything. And it gets more buy-in from the customers as well, because then they go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, somebody walked in and is with their dog and their daughter. And, you see that it's not somebody sitting in a high chair, stroking their cat and going, making all of this money from my brewery. It's more of that, like,
Have you been to one that's like that? A cat?
Sit in the car.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many industries that's what it's about. It's about seeing how many puppets you can get to represent your brand. Whereas here it's like, you can bring it in and it's authentic. They're pouring the beers behind the bar. They're sitting having a pizza with their family. It's not a show.
Yeah. Do you find that that's what most of the breweries are about? They're a bit less about just get people in here, just get smashed and come out. It's more like, let's enjoy this. Let's actually go here to enjoy this product. Let's bring our families and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what breweries are striving to be, is a place where they can be communal spaces and family spaces. And it's about having the right people behind the bar who have that same passion. And if somebody walks in, and I know where we are, I know we're in Brisbane, but that typical question of what's the closest beer you have to a 4X? And you have somebody that's behind the bar that can take them through that journey. Yeah. And I think that's really important, and that's what everybody's focusing on. It's not, just hand them the 9% beer and get them drunk and get them out of here, or just keep feeding them swill. It's about saying, okay, you've tried the lager, now have you had this style of beer before? Let's explain it to you. It's more of that education side as well, as opposed to just pumping beers out over the bar.
So you find that you're educating, but you're also potentially like dispelling some myths here and there, or some misconceptions.
Because there are a lot of myths out there, and they just keep getting worse, and it's frustrating.
I think one of those ones, just from like a consumer point of view, is that like everything's off the Richter scale with alcohol quantity, but like it's not. It's there are some that are up there, but that's not. Some people might have that. That's their experience, and that's all they know it to be.
Oh yeah, it's the alcohol. It's the fruitiness. I don't like that fruity shit. Oh, that's not what I drink. I don't know if I can swear on this podcast.
Yeah,
sorry.
you can do whatever you want.
Fill your dates.
I think that's part of it, but I think there are broader, kind of more consumer-focused things that I feel like there are certain breweries that aren't helping that more recently. So one thing that we always get, and this is kind of off a tangent, is draft. People go, oh, I love draft. And I'm like, cool, they've got 12 draft beers here. And they go, no, but what's like Carlton draft? And I'm like, right, let me explain the difference to you between draft versus packaged versus this. But there are still craft breweries that are currently launching products that are called draft. And every time I see it on Facebook, I'm like, don't do that. Like, you know better. Like, call it a lager. Don't call it a draft and then put it in a can. And so it's that kind of thing that I feel like as quickly as we can dispel these myths, they're coming out even faster. And so, yeah.
What's the biggest myth that you think is out there or that you've had to dispel?
Probably the one that we get most often is I don't like dark beer because all dark beer is Guinness.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, let me give you this vanilla stout. Let me give you this smoked porter. Let me give you something that is nothing like Guinness. And it's that dark beer is higher in alcohol. And so I don't know if I should mention other breweries, but there is a local brewery in the Valley that has a fantastic dark ale that's only 2.8%. And so you can put that in front of somebody and go, here you go. And they're like, oh, this must be strong. And I'm like, nope. It's not even a MIDI. Yeah. So there's definitely that misconception of dark beers in particular. I don't know if that's a Queensland thing because everybody just wants something that's light and refreshing that they can slam 6 of. But yeah, I don't know if you guys find that here too, that people see the Riz and stuff like that and they're like, well, Riz obviously is higher in alcohol, so that's probably a bad example. But yeah.
The porter, the stouts, people think that they're really high in alcohol, definitely. Really, really strong in flavour, and some of our stouts aren't. They're actually quite mild. And,
limited release Dark Storm is I think like 4.5 or something like that. So very, very approachable.
Well, I mean, even your Black Pearl, which I love, which I know is a question coming later, but it's a fantastic beer, is a dark Pilsner, which first of all trips a lot of people out because they're like, how does that happen? But at 5%, and it's this beautiful, rich, super flavorful dark beer that's only 5%. Like, that's not what you'd expect from something like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think the really good thing about, like, with Joz and like she was saying, with all the people that she brings on the tours and everything like that, it's like a really kind of small profile of people kind of out in the general public, and she gets to kind of educate them along the way to different breweries and all that kind of stuff and capture this. And for the education side of things, it's fantastic to be able to obviously grow the craft side of things in the industry, but also educate the people that go on the tours as well, because they get so much more out of it than just jumping on a bus and going around to places and having a beer and getting jolly and off they go.
And rolling off the bus at the
end. So it's just this great environment of learning and education and uplifting everyone.
And being a smaller industry at the moment too, and you're guaranteed going with Hop On, you get like not only an educational experience, but more of an intimate knowledge into the companies and the people behind the breweries to which you're taking them to. Because you draw a parallel with the wine industry, there might be a tour that takes you to 5 different wineries and no one knows anything except what's written on the label or what personal research they've done. But genuinely speaking, most of the people that have owned the companies, built the companies and run the companies like all the way through. And that's a great story for people when they're coming and they're riding from point A to point B. They get to hear that totally different background story, and I think that's a difference between.
But we couldn't do it if it weren't made accessible to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We couldn't do that if it weren't for people sitting down with us from the get-go and telling us their story and sharing their motivation and being on the ground when we're there and helping us with the walkthroughs. And if the brewer is there, getting them something straight out of tank so people can understand what it's like before your beer is fully carbonated or filtered or whatever it might be, and seeing those stages. Like, we could do it with pictures and with diagrams, and this is the brewing process, and that's all well and good, which you can Google. Like, anybody can Google that. How's beer made?
How's beer made?
But bringing them in and, talking through the different styles. This is why an amber is an amber. This is why a stout is a stout. But then having access to people and saying, I don't know the answer to that question, but I've got Jay's phone number, so I'm going to send him a message and see if he responds in time to come back to us. Or, hey, Maddie is back there brewing. Let's duck back and ask him. So it definitely, like, we couldn't do what we do if it weren't for the brewers and the owners being as accessible as they are.
There's probably not everyone's like that. There's a differentiator that you guys actually care to ask those questions, and there's that authenticity about what they're doing. It's not just putting people on a bus and taking them to a location, taking a transaction and then going. There's a real partnership there, and there's an attention to detail that that's why we work with you predominantly, because there's so much more. They're saying love is in the detail. There's a lot more love in it, and that goes from us back, and also the patrons who are getting on the bus to go with Hop On. We've been them. Like we called up Joss and said, "Hey, listen,
proof is in the pudding.
We want to get out and about and see some of these great new amazing breweries that are opening up in Brisbane, because we work so much, we don't get to." She's like, "No worries, I'll come up and look after you guys." Jump on the bus, and then we got to understand how that process works and what educational value we get back out of it, because we may not know a lot about that brewery that just opened up a couple of months ago, because we've been busy doing our own thing. So it's kind of cool to see it all come back full circle. Yeah, absolutely.
It was good.